I welcome you to this session of ISO 45001 2018, and today we are going to talk about clause number 6.1.2.2, Assessment of Occupational Health and Safety Risks and Other Risks to the Occupational Health and Safety Management System. So as usual, first of all, I'll read out the requirement to you as given in the standard. Clause 6.1.2.2, Assessment of Occupational Health and Safety Risks and Other Risks to the Occupational Health and Safety Management System. The organization shall establish, implement, and maintain a process or processes to A. Assess occupational health and safety risks from the identified hazards, while taking into account the effectiveness of the existing controls. B. Determine and assess other risks related to the establishment, implementation, operation, and maintenance of occupational health and safety management system. The organization's methodology and criteria for the assessment of occupational health and safety risks shall be defined with respect to their scope, nature, and timing to ensure they are proactive rather than reactive and are used in a systematic way. Documented information shall be maintained and retained on the methodologies and criteria. So this is all as given in the requirement of the standard, and now let us discuss it in more detail. See, the organization, we are talking about the occupational health and safety risks and other risks to the occupational health and safety management system. We have already identified the hazards, which are the reasons for creating a risk. So, looking at the hazards, the organization has to establish, implement, and maintain processes. That means how they should go about it. A. To assess the occupational health and safety risks from the identified hazards, while taking into account the effectiveness of the existing controls. That means whatever controls we have in place for dealing with a particular hazard, keeping that in view, what is still the possibility of a risk and how to cope with that. So the risk has to be assessed keeping in view the hazard identification as documented by us, and ensuring that the further risk which is involved in the hazard, which has not been taken care by providing some kind of a solution to the hazard, maybe providing safety equipment or creating some other way of working so that the hazard is reduced. So, keeping in view all that arrangement, is still what is the further harm which is possible to the people from that hazard. We have taken care of the hazard, but still it may not be enough. So, we have to think beyond what we have already identified as a safety aspect against the hazard, and keeping that in view, we have to further assess the occupational health and safety risks from the identified hazards, while taking into account the effectiveness of the existing controls. That means the existing controls are working, and how far they are effective we have to assess, and if they are not fully effective, then what are the risks? So we have to identify the risks, keeping in view what provisions we have for taking care of the hazards which are in place and we have to further determine what are the further risks. And B is determine and assess the other risks related to the establishment, implementation, operation, and maintenance of the occupational health and safety management system. So we have to determine and assess other risks which are related to the establishment of, implementation of, and operation and maintenance of the occupational health and safety management system. That means while we are establishing the system, what possible risks may be there. So we have to think beyond what we have already thought of, and we are trying to implement that to reduce the risks or avoid the risks, and what further risks are getting created by way of our implementation of the solution to that particular hazard. So we have to think beyond and identify what are the other risks related to the establishment, implementation, operation, and maintenance of the occupational health and safety system. So, the organization's methodologies and criteria for the assessment of occupational health and safety risks shall be defined. That means all this, what we are thinking of beyond, has to be documented with respect to their scope, nature, and timing to ensure that they are proactive rather than reactive. Reactive means that something has happened and we are reacting to that situation. We have not to work in that manner. We have to work in a proactive manner. That means the things have not happened. The harm has not occurred yet. But there are situations which are indicative of the possibility of harm because of a particular hazard, and whatever solution we have thought of, whatever occupational health and safety management system we have in place. So keeping all that in view, what are the further steps which we need to take against the likely harm which may happen? So criteria for assessment of occupational shall be defined with respect to their scope, nature, and timing to ensure that they are proactive rather than reactive. So we have to think from the proactive angle. That means before the risk happens, we have to think about that risk and create safeguards so that the risk does not happen, to ensure that they are proactive rather than reactive and are used in a systematic way. And the documented information shall be maintained and retained on the methodology and criteria. So whatever methodology we put in place and we document it, it has to be maintained as a record. That means there has to be a proper procedure for it, and that procedure has to be documented for assessment of further risks from the hazards, even after taking whatever steps we have taken into account or whatever safety aspects we have considered. We have a system in place, and proactively we have to think what further hazards are possible, what further risks are possible from the existing hazards. So this has to be done in a proactive manner. That is the gist of this requirement. So I hope you have understood the requirement fully well, and if there is anything which is not clear to you, please give your comment below this video. I'll try to explain to you. And please do not forget to subscribe to my channel and also press the bell icon so that as and when I load my videos, the information regarding that will reach you immediately and you will be able to see my videos well in time. So, and if you like my videos, please give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and also share my videos with your friends and colleagues. I'll feel very happy if you do so. Thank you very much for watching my videos. Bye bye and see you on next Sunday.